This is a story about how the FBI worked to uncover a sinister plan of CCP agents in the United States. On a dark Sunday in May of 2023, two Chinese men flew all the way from California to meet another person in a restaurant in Newburgh, upstate New York. A week later, these two would be arrested for acting as illegal agents of the PRC government, charged for PRC-directed bribery scheme to attack and subvert Falun Gong organizations in the state of New York. On May 14th, Chen Jun and Lin Feng sat down waiting patiently. Soon, a man, let's just call him F, walks through the door, sits down at their table. F is supposedly a IRS tax agent, and Chen Jun did most of the talking. And of course, Lin Feng, a broad man, was simply his driver and bodyguard. Now, Chen tells F quietly, "Listen, carefully, we have a plan. If you can help us handle the reporting materials, facilitate the IRS to audit the Falun Gong organizations here in New York, and to cancel their nonprofit statuses, well, you will get $50,000 in goods and services fee. I'll also be paying you the initial 10%, $5,000 US as a kickstart right away." That caught the attention of F. F raised his eyebrows and said, "Who else is we are we talking about here?" Chen smiled, saying that "I am acting on behalf of the Chinese government." Little did Chen know, F was actually secretly recording this entire conversation. And about a week later, Chen Jun and Lin Feng were arrested by the FBI and charged by the DOJ. Prosecutors charged them with 4 counts. First is acting as agents of a foreign government without notifying the U.S. Attorney General. The second charge is bribery of public officials. Third is conspiracy to commit foreign agents and bribery. And fourth, a conspiracy to commit international money laundering. The charges carry a combined maximum penalty of about 40 years in prison. Prosecutors said that the bribery scheme in which Chen Jun and Lin Feng participated was carried out under the direction of the Chinese government, and its content was described in the indictment as, quote, both bold and shameless. However, the bribery scheme was not the only task carried out by Chen Jun and Lin Feng. The two also conducted on-the-ground surveillance of Falun Gong members in Orange County, upstate New York. In fact, Chen Jun has been a longtime agent of the CCP. His main focus was attacking dissidents, with a special focus on Falun Gong. And Falun Gong is a spiritual exercise that started in China back in 1992. So the question is, why would a group that focuses on 3 core principles, truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance, become the target of the Chinese Communist Party's transnational repression in the United States? The story goes back to 1999. Under former leader Zhang, out of jealousy of the influence of a practice that preaches moral values that was long destroyed by the CCP, he launched a nationwide crackdown on Falun Gong. He used state propaganda and the creation of an extra legal system called the 610 Office. And that was used to arrest and to jail Falun Gong adherents in China. Well, outside of China, particularly the United States, became hubs of Falun Gong adherents' decades-long campaign to clarify to the world what lies were told by the CCP. According to internal CCP instruction documents obtained by the Epoch Times, it says that we must systematically and strategically attack the headquarters and base of Falun Gong overseas. Now, back to the story. Seeing that F didn't object to the demands as well as the bribery, Chen motioned to F to follow him out of the restaurant and get into the back seat of F's car. There, Chen handed over a stack of $100 bills, $1,000 in total, as the initial bribe. Now, after returning to the restaurant, they drank coffee and discussed quietly how to deliver the rest of the down payment to F. Chen Jun emphasized that the payment must not be made through the U.S. financial system, and the money can only move from what they're calling is the human flesh system without leaving any trace. And that basically just means person-to-person cash transfer. Now, the driver and the bodyguard, Lin Feng, promised to go back to LA and to collect the $4,000, then immediately fly back to New York. And that, of course, was the balance of that $5,000 down payment. Now, Chen Jun further said that if the report is successful, the IRS will give a reward, and then he and F will be able to divide it further, 60% of which will be going to F. Now, after leaving the restaurant, Lin Feng drove Chen Jun back to the hotel. The next day, they will go to the IRS office in New Windsor, New York, to have a formal meeting with F to complete the necessary procedures. Otherwise, his report cannot be processed further. Looking at the sceneries on the outside of the window, down the Hudson River Valley, Chen Jun thought about every single move to take for the next step. He's already 70 years old, and he has been one of the most important member of the CCP doing their bidding in Los Angeles as a head of Chinese Overseas Association. That, of course, is a part of many pro-CCP United Front organizations. He's also a founder of many other organizations that are pro-communist in Southern California. He's always aspired to become a leading figure in the pro-communist groups in Los Angeles. In 2021, he was invited by the CCP United Front Work Department of the Central Committee to attend the celebration in Beijing, which is for the 100th anniversary of the founding of the party. Afterwards, he published an signed article on the official website of the United Front Department, which says here, the Communist Party of China is the pride of Chinese sons and daughters overseas, describing the battle call from CCP leader Xi Jinping that lingered in his mind for a very long time. With words written like this, quote, all members of the Chinese Communist Party, the party Central Committee calls on you. Lin Feng, on the other hand, is a former Chinese national cycling team athlete. He is at 1.8 meters tall, or about 5'11", from Sichuan, and he's 45 years old, but still has a strong build. Since settling down in LA in 2013, he's frequently traveled between the United States and China, and he has returned to China 5 times in the last 10 years, obtaining a green card in 2015. Now, according to reports, Lin Feng engaged in personal security services after immigrating to the United States and was often hired as a bodyguard for celebrities and stars. For example, when film and TV star Daniel Wu came to LA, he asked to be one of the only close security guards for him. Now, Chen Jun is really well aware of the risk of bribing the IRS or any government official. But the real purpose of this plan is to take advantage of the U.S. legal process to persecute Falun Gong believers, which is also known as law warfare. And that's exactly the intention of the Chinese Communist government. In fact, he knew full well that this was illegal. Therefore, he recently rented out his only known residence in the United States, preparing to flee to China as soon as this is over. Now, how did Chen Jun find F in the first place? According to court documents, it says that 4 months prior to this meeting, Chen Jun had a phone call with another person, let's name him Q, to discuss a plan to bribe IRS officials. He proposed to use the IRS reporting system to fabricate black materials to crack down on the nonprofit status for these organizations established by Falun Gong practitioners in the eastern part of the United States. And Chen Jun did not know that Q was actually an FBI informant, and so he asked Q that if he could contact the IRS personnel to assist in this matter. And then he promised that he would be getting it through the IRS, which connects the Chinese government, would be, of course, offering generous rewards to those that end up helping them, with the ultimate goal, of course, to help the CCP overthrow Falun Gong. Now, Q claimed that he knew F, who was actually an undercover agent for the FBI, and Chen Jun immediately said that, well, the leader will be generously rewarded after this incident is completed, meaning that the person at the IRS will be rewarded. Now, this is early February of 2023. Chen Jun sent fabricated reporting materials to F at New Windsor, of course, the IRS office in New York. And then on February 8th, Chen Jun told Q that his superior would like to speak directly with F, of course, thinking that this is a person from the IRS. But he wanted to keep the identity of the Chinese leader confidential, wouldn't be discussing the specific department in which they're calling from. Now, he explained that we don't want to deviate from the script and then mess things up. So he specifically told Q that don't talk about anything with money or things that would leave traces to avoid trouble in the future. Now, before things could move further, Chen Jun went to China seeking approval from the higher-ups in Beijing on February 10th of 2023, just 2 days after they spoke. And then more than a week later, Q received a WeChat voice message from China that he was searching for the background information about F, because the CCP's top leadership, they were considering cooperating with F and needed more information about the person. In fact, Chen Jun not only has close ties with the Chinese government and this Communist Party, he also has a military background. He actually graduated from Tianjin Foreign Languages School in 1969, majoring in English. Now, the school was established in 1964, according to the instructions of Zhou Enlai, the first premier of the CCP, and that purpose was to cultivate foreign affairs professionals. Now, most of those graduates entered the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, National Foreign Trade, and Press departments. Now, after graduation, Chen Jun entered the military force, and that was back in 1969. And that was when the CCP was doing something called go to the mountains and down to the countryside. So he served in the 46th Division of the Chinese Communist Aviation Forces for 6 years. Then he changed his career, joined a popular foreign trade company at the time. He then moved to the United States in 1992 after coming here on what was considered to be the June 4th green card visa, which were actually granted to brave students who escaped the claw of the CCP after the Tiananmen Square massacre. Now, after becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen, he holds a foreign permanent resident card in China, which basically is the Chinese version of the green card. Now, according to these relevant regulations, people that have this green card, they have to stay in China for no less than 3 months in total each year. So as you can see, he frequently traveled back to China. Over the years, he's been involved in many activities for the Chinese Communist Party, such as protest against CNN, supporting Hong Kong's return to China, protesting Japan's membership of the UN Security Council, counter-protest against Tibetan human rights issues, the Olympic torch relay support, etc. Now, back to the story. Now, on March 7th, which is more than 2 weeks after Chen Jun went back to China, he introduced Q to official 1 of the CCP on the phone. He called the latter leader and handed the phone to the other party. And then on March 20th, Q received the call from official 1 of the CCP again. He says that he wanted Chen Jun to meet with F from the IRS to resolve this reporting matter. So Q provided F's email, and Chen Jun sent an email on March 25th to make the appointment, which was set on May 14th, the Sunday, of course, where they met in the restaurant. Now, the formal meeting was supposed to take place the day after, but they wanted an informal one the day prior. So during the actual formal meeting, all this was conducted in English, and Chen Jun pretended that he was doing it for the benefit of the American taxpayers. The next day, Chen Jun and Lin Feng, they were scared but also careful with every step of the way, fearing that some sort of an emergency would occur. But at the same time, they were worried that F would not fulfill his promise after receiving the money. So they sent an email to F again saying that, well, my friends are hesitating and they want to know exactly if you're going to do this or not. And in order to allow F to move forward with confidence, Chen repeatedly emphasized that he and Lin Feng were working on behalf of the CCP, and that his colleagues in the CCP government were like brothers wearing the same pants, saying that we have been fighting together against Falun Gong since 20-30 years ago. And he also assured F that as long as the IRS initiates the investigation procedures, they would definitely give him $50,000 plus 60% of the whistleblower reward, all of which will be hand-delivered from China with no tracing. Now, according to local media, reports in Los Angeles, Chen Jun and Lin Feng, they were both arrested at their respective residence. Chen Jun lives alone, so there were no witness to his arrest, but Lin Feng's arrest process became a well-known drama. Lin Feng rents a house in Hacienda Heights, which there are less than 10 tenants at the house, but at 6 a.m. in the morning, tenants heard a loud knock on the front door, followed by FBI shouting from the outside. They ordered everybody to come out. Lin Feng was the last one to leave, and there he was taken away, surrounded by armored cars and a sniper on watch. And so the plan was foiled, and the CCP is very afraid of it going public in trial because it's a clear demonstration of the amount of infiltration and the transnational repression they've been conducting in the United States against Falun Gong as well as other dissidents and groups. And that's it today for the episode on how the FBI foiled the sinister plan by 2 CCP agents to destroy Falun Gong groups in upstate New York. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, bye-bye.